What's up, guys? It's your host, Spartanic Arts DxD, back with another high school DxD related video. And today we have What If Issei Was Betrayed and Became the Villain, Part 2, or What If Issei Was a Villain, whatever you want to call it. I don't care. Let's try to hit 500 to 700 likes for this video. That'd be absolutely amazing. And if you guys want to know exactly when I upload / my upload schedule, click the little blue button right next to the subscribe button. Seriously, it would be highly appreciated. The story is definitely a switch from the rest. Hopefully you guys are enjoying it, because I kind of enjoy reading how he's a villain instead of the person who just doesn't go for betrayal. It's an interesting take on the actual villainry that we got going on here. But without further ado, let's go and thank my balance breakers: Aunt Lewis, Lachlan Yates, Jordan Patchout, Ammo, Refeek135, which is a Juggernaut Drive member, Ryan Monk, keep saying 21, Undivine Truth, 2 Juggernaut Drive members approaching, VR Wolf and Dark Phoenix. Welcome to the Juggernaut Drive membership along with Refeek135. We have 3 Juggernaut Drive people now. That's absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. ZK2000, Shenpion, Chaotic Raven, Notatrax, Dr_MOG_ is the bomb, Grimfire Shot Gamer, Jerry Vive, Source Spawner, Rob the King, and Zero Fusion. Thank you so much for becoming a balance breaker. If you guys want to know what the blue names are, it's those for the other tier, which is Juggernaut Drive, which is, you know, a W tier. It would be appreciated if you join. It's okay if you don't. Thank you so much for the support, Juggernaut Drive members and balance breakers. Seriously, can't thank you guys enough. And without it, and obviously, High School DxD Episode 4 reaction should be coming out tonight. I'm going to sit down, just chill and record it. You know what I mean? Something stupid, along with Jujutsu Kaisen Episode 2 reaction coming soon. But without any further interruptions, ladies and gentlemen, let's go and thank my Patreon members: David Tanner, Ryuga, Lachlan Yates, The Black Dragon Emperor, Brandon Dossett, Stripelanger, Mark Bacon, Sharklock, Jay Dawson, and Kefir Windsor. Thank you so much for becoming Patreon members, which is where you see me react to High School DxD, etc., all the good shows that you would want me to sit down and cringe at. So thank you so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen, once again. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into Part 2. Picking up where we last left off in Chapter 1, which is The Unbearable Truth, we're in the next day at the Hyoto residence at 9:30 a.m. Issei was heading downstairs, trying to keep his mind off of what happened yesterday as he took his food and a diet of Coke for himself. "Brother, can we talk?" Akiya looked at Issei, but was surprised when her brother did not respond to what she said. He had opened his can and started to eat his food. However, he started to become uncomfortable with all the stares. He spoke in a cold tone. "What do you guys want?" "We need this information about Malik." Volley spoke in a tone hinting of anger and annoyance. Issei looked at her dead in the eye and spoke. "I said it once before, and I'll say it again. Not my problem." Issei spoke while sipping some of his Coke. Seeing as if nothing was changing, he took his plate and drink and headed to his room. Even his parents were appalled by his attitude with Goro speaking. "I never knew that you were selfish," said. "I said it before. Not my monkeys, not my circus, father. Just give me the end of the deal and the information is yours." Issei spoke with a mocking smile before heading to his room, leaving everyone in shock by his attitude. He had understood that either Dai or Akiya must have told them about this meeting. Scene change. Meanwhile, Invigil was in her room. Her cheeks were dry, due to her tears streaming from her eyes. The truth had completely broken her, and it did not help. No one would believe her if she had told her what she had just witnessed. She was in no mood to go into Co-Academy, especially not in her current condition. Her fighting spirit had completely faded, and her eyes had no life. There were dark circles present due to lack of sleep. Furthermore, her hair was completely messy. He loved me, and I completely treated him like garbage. What kind of a person am I? He was a gem. Well, I threw him away. I don't deserve to be with him," Imigol spoke while sobbing. "Yeah, that's right. That's how all girls realize when, you know, yeah, whatever, it's too late." Imigol opened her eyes, tears falling down from them. She treated them like garbage. That is when a knock was heard from the door. "Go away. I don't want to talk to anyone," Imigol angrily shouted to whoever was there. "I see. Maybe I should come another time." A man spoke, recognizing the voice as Invigold got up, rushing to the door. What she said was that Issei was walking away from the room. "No, wait, Issei!" Invigold shouted to garner his attention. He looked at her and approached her. "What happened?" Issei asked. "He was here for a purpose." "Why are you here? Don't you hate me?" Invigold asked, tailing off. "I came to give you this," Issei gave her, handing her a bottle of medicine. But I don't deserve your help, Invigold spoke, to which Issei chuckled. By that, his chuckle changed to laughter. Invigold was confused. Was Issei laughing? Her answer was also received. Oh, you were right. You don't deserve any of my help, Issei spoke with a sinister smile. Then why? Invigold spoke with a feeling of dread as Issei spoke. Oh, you know why. You really think I was going to care for you after everything you said to me, Leviathan? After every single insult you called me? A liar? A jealous man, to name a few. Did you, by any chance, think that I cared for you? Issei exclaimed, walking closer to Invigold, who started to back away. Well, Issei, I'm sorry. I didn't know about Dai's true nature, Invigold apologized, trying to calm the situation. She really felt guilty for what she did. However, Issei was not having any of that. Issei grabbed her by the hair, pulling her towards him as she exclaimed in slight pain, Issei, it hurts. This hurts? This is nothing compared to the pain I experienced because of you. When I tried to save you from Nynx, am I a second-hand option for you? Is that it? Issei's voice grew with every word. Invigold started to tear up, not because of Issei pulling her hair, but because of what Issei said to her. No, Invigold retorted. Yes, that's what you think of me. I'm a second-hand car, which is meant for those that don't want to buy a new car. Since Issei's brother Dai is a fucking jerk, I am a replacement. After everything, you really think I would care for you? No, Issei shouted as tears fell from Invigold's eyes. I do not care for you, my dear Invigold. I want you to live because I want to see the consequences of your actions. I can't allow you to fall asleep now, can I? That will be no fun now, right, Lady Invigold? That would be mercy, and I won't let that happen. I will make you see the monster that you're responsible for creating. I want you to see as I will take away everything and anything away from you which held some importance to you. You shall watch as I destroy and burn the very people in the world you once cared for, right in front of your eyes, and you won't be able to do a thing except watching in despair, losing your beloved boyfriend, friends, and family, everything by my hands. And for that to happen, Issei screamed the last part. Drake was worried about Issei as he sent calming energy to him. Invigold, on the other hand, had fear in her eyes. Issei released her as she dropped on the behind. Her legs were spread on the ground, and she was crying endlessly. Issei took a deep breath to calm down. So you have a choice. You can either be a quitter, wither away, or you can take that medicine and live with the consequences of your action, Issei exclaimed, as he kept the medicine on the ground, and walked away, and not bothering to see Invigold's face, but not before saying, I used to keep my heart for you, not my self-respect that you can destroy whenever you feel like it. Issei's voice held disdain. As Invigold broke down into sobs, she wept a lot of that away. Issei did not even bother to check on her. Partner, Drake spoke in worry. I'm fine. It's just that she brought back painful memories back of my past, Issei spoke with a sad tone. His eyes were teary. He did not know exactly what was going on with him now. Drake then suggested, you should have a can of Diet Coke, since it will help calm yourself. You need to have a cool mind when you deal with them, sooner or later. Issei responded by gritting his teeth. He was going to make Dai's life a living hell when he gets the chance. Scene change, Yodo residence, 3 p.m. Issei was chilling, playing Brawl Stars on his mobile phone. He was this close to defeating that damn Hank, who has been a pain in the map, destroying this tick even away from the walls. However, as he was playing, he was being watched by the ORC minus Invigold and Valerie's team. He became uncomfortable. There is something called privacy, you know, Issei spoke in an annoyed tone as he continued playing. Aki, annoyed by her brother's attitude, snatched the phone from him, with him shouting as he exclaimed in an annoyed manner, Hey, I was close to winning. Do you know how hard it is to deal with that brawler? God, Supercell made him broken. Will you stop being a brat and help us? We need your help, Aki exclaimed in a demanding tone. Ignoring her brother's attitude, Issei sighed. Like I said, free Nynx and the information is yours. That's it. Issei spoke while struggling. How can you be Dai's brother? Kuroko spoke in a mocking tone while looking at Dai. Well, you see, when two people love each other, that is when Issei spoke but was interrupted by Akia. Stop fooling around and tell us about Malik. Innocent people are dying. With your help, we can save lives, Akia spoke in an annoyed tone. Like I said, not my monkeys, not my circus, Issei spoke with a smile as he then continued. And besides, you can't even take a joke. That is why you are still single, Akia. Issei continued, drawing the anger of many present. How pitiful it is, Issei spoke while nodding sideways, having a smile many were driven crazy by Issei's attitude. It's because of you. Akano is in this condition, Issei Hyodo, Rias exclaimed angrily, remembering the robotic state she was in and pointing at her. First, don't blame me for your flaws. You can't involve the problems on your own, Issei spoke. Rias was going to counter, however, Issei continued. You ain't gonna force me to talk something I don't want to talk to. I am just a spectator. You guys are the fighters, Issei said. Issei got up and snatched the phone from Akia, who was unable to stop her older brother. He looked at the match and sighed in relief. He had won, and it was thanks to El Primo saving the day to the last 5 seconds. The match would have been lost if Hank would have taken out this tick. Valerie, annoyed by his attitude, grabbed him by the shirt and exclaimed angrily, Listen, I'm getting tired of your attitude. I will beat the truth from you. Issei did not seem bothered and chuckled as he spoke. Such a shame you couldn't beat him with the original Divine Dividing. Yet I performed a feat stronger than yours. So you desire to have a small advantage. Issei's eyes started to glow red as he spoke. No, you were afraid of losing, since I indirectly destroyed your pride, didn't I? You were afraid of losing, aren't you? Issei said. Volley started to grow afraid. Arthur tried to separate the two, however it was too late. Issei grabbed her by the head, and before she could react, unleashed a surge of voltage at Valerie. Ah! Volleys exclaimed as her body shook and twitched with electricity. This was not ordinary electricity. This was electricity enchanted by dragon-slaying magic. Once this was done, Volley's hand lost its grip and she was smoking due to the electric attack. Issei then flung Volley to the nearby wall. Volley was sent flying. Upon closer inspection, Volley had blisters all over her body in different locations. She was groaning in pain. Arthur noticed a glove on his hand that had an electric insignia on it. Interesting. So lightning Slayer gloves do work. Issei looked at the black glove as the white glow on them goes off, rendering them inactive. It was another sacred gear that Issei had developed. He had never tested it, but now it works. He put his phone aside and brought a second glove which he wore in his free hand. Watch out. The lightning from those gloves have Dragon Slayer properties. It could be Dragon Slayer weapon, Albion exclaimed in worry, while trying to keep Valerie alive. Indeed. But that is not all that is it capable of, Issei spoke with a smile, causing many to get their guard up. You, Valerie glad, causing Issei's attention to return to her. Oh, don't be like that. I held back the lightning on first try, but I ain't gonna stay here being quiet, Issei spoke coldly, while he walked towards Valerie with his gloves glowing as he surged electric current. Valerie instinctively, she was afraid of him. However, before he could move, a sword came in front of him. This caused the electricity to disappear, as he turned his attention to Kiba, who spoke in a serious tone. Make one move, and you'll regret it, Hyodo. So, you trade your life for hers. Interesting, Issei turned to Kiba with a malicious grin. Issei brought out his book and summoned a skull on top of his right glove. Valerie watched as she saw the skull glowing red as she shouted to get their attention. Everyone get away from him! But it was too late. A red beam hit Kiba as he held his head in pain. He fell on the ground screaming in pain. Issei had given him a hallucination of his comrades dying over and over again. Rias looked at him in fear. She was scared that the same thing that happened to Akano should not happen to him. She watched in horror as Kiba pleaded with tears in his eyes. Please, make it stop, I beg you. I am sorry, but seeing you in this state does put a smile on my face, and your screams are like music to my ears, Issei responded with a smile. Issei was ready to increase the hallucination to Kiba, but Rias got in the way. She looked at him in fear, tears welled up in her eyes. I will not let you hurt anyone, so you better stop, Rias spoke, trying to muster up the bravest voice she could. Issei only grabbed her by the chin, which is when she started to hyperventilate. Bravery reminds me of the old days. Well, let me make myself clear. I am not helping you till I get something in return, and I will not hesitate to kill you to prove my point. Alright? Issei released Rias, who stopped hyperventilating. Ozzy and Konako were trembling in fear, seeing what Issei had done. They only watched Issei head out of the room. Nobody dared to stop him. What kind of person is he? LeFay exclaimed while shivering in fear, watching Kiba still screaming and crying due to the hallucinations. He is a monster That is not to be crossed with, Archer spoke in a serious tone, and LeFay, agreeing with her brother, said. Dai saw the whole scene with complete fear, while Crom had a mocking smile seeing his host in this condition. Akia made a mental note not to mess with him ever again. He is worse than a monster, Rias thought with tears. She was downright afraid of Issei at this point. Good. Sorry. The next day, Hyoto residence, 9:30 a.m. Sorry. Azazel, Serzex, along with his wife Grafia, Odin, Michael were all present as they remembered what Issei did yesterday. They were all serious on what happened. Well, it seems like the Red Dragon won't hesitate to torture and kill if we mess with him, Azazel spoke with worry, remembering the blisters of his adoptive daughter. Serzex gritted his teeth in fury, remembering his sister in her Paracha's condition. And if we add on the sacred gears he can copy and use, he is someone to fear, Odin spoke while stroking his beard. Michael shivered due to the fact that he can mimic the truth idea of the true Longinus. Many remembers how Valerie and Kiva suffered. As Valerie was still recovering from the blisters Issei gave her, Azazel was filled with dread that Issei is able to use Dragon Slayer magic. As this was going on, Invigold came in with drinks, mostly tea for everyone. As she brought in a full tray of them, Dai went to greet her, mainly to show her that the relationship was going well, but Invigold walked past him much to his surprise. Well, it seems like our pillar is having a lover's quarrel with one of his women, Odin spoke in a tone full of jokes. He changed his tone and spoke in a serious one, but leaving that aside, we find a way to negotiate with him. After drinks were placed, Invigold kept the tray down on a free table as she stood beside her king, Dai. For some unknown reason, felt nervousness due to the stare Invigold was giving him. Azazel was looking at the sofa as Valerie Lucifer, who was in the same condition as Rias Gremory in her Parage, wondering, what the actual hell is going on in this house now, Azazel thought, trying to make sense of what was going on. No. He can't be free, Rias spoke, garnering the attention of the others. He is not afraid of torturing and killing us. He should be locked up, Rias's voice was filled with fear. She remembered how helpless she was when Issei completely defeated Kiva and Valerie while barely trying. I am sorry, Gremory, but our hands are tied, Odin spoke with a serious tone. However, he felt horrible asking for Issei's help despite what he did to them. If we need a fighting chance against Malik, we need his help. But Rias tried to find an excuse, only for Serzex to interject her and respond. I am sorry, Rias, but right now, Issei's help is necessary for the factions. We have no choice. Rias looked in horror as she did not have her brother's support. Well, all we need to do is convince Zeus to release Nynx. It's the only way we can get Issei's support, Azazel spoke in a serious tone. But how, Michael asked. Zeus is not fond of Issei because of his last encounter, and he will not release Nynx, knowing what she is capable of. We need to find a way to convince him. Malik is not going to stop his attacks, and it won't be time until we will be in such a situation that Malik will have us cornered. Serzex spoke. As dread emanated from his voice, he was worried about his family and the faction, since Malik does not care who is the next on the assault. Not to mention, the devils and the fallen and the Greek are suffering the most casualties. Serzex's voice was agreed by Azazel as well, since the recent attack took a lot of lives. If this continues, then everyone will be wiped out. This is it. For the meeting, someone needs to convince Zeus, or we are done for. Serzex ended the meeting as the leaders teleported back to their homes. Invigold took the tray and started back inside as Dai held her shoulder. What do you want, Dai? Invigold spoke, trying to get her best not to get angry at Dai for what he was doing. I wanted to ask, are you alright? You've been distant lately, Dai asked with concern. However, he only did so that she thinks he is concerned for her. No, I just have a lot of work to do now. If you'll excuse me, I need to talk to someone, Invigold spoke in a neutral tone. She wanted to leave the room as soon as possible as she did not want to be near him anymore. Dai wondered what was wrong as he could not understand why Invigold was so distant from him. She's been acting like this since 2 days. She refused to talk to him or even go near him. Even the other girls were confused by what had happened. They needed to talk to Invigold sometime later. Scene change. Rooftop, Hyoto residence, 11 a.m. Issei was watching the entire meeting from one of his recording cameras as he spoke with an angered tone. Nobody says it. I am cursed with these powers in my whole life. I've been living his life, Issei spoke coldly, as he continued with a sinister smile. I surpassed the truth from all. I will be their judge, jury, and executioner, Issei says. There was no plan Issei had for the factions, but that was not needed, since the factions don't stand a chance against him. I was once their true hero, but nobody believed me, no matter how much I tried, Issei spoke with a slight anger, remembering his past. But now it'll be fun, when their true hero turns into their worst enemy, Issei spoke coldly. Issei remembered the two instances of his memory. The first when he showed Seraph Gabriel hallucinations belonging to what had happened to him in his memories, with the help of Malik. His goal was to take the happiness from her by showing a fraction of the truth. He tried to help her before, but no matter how pure you are, there will always be a dark side. Heck, even if Lucifer and Azazel were once angels, just like Gabriel, she talked behind his back and insulted him about how much of a pervert he is and how useless he is. That, of course, was Dai's work. They were wrong, and the true useless brother is his brother. The second one was when Akeno tried to torture him for speaking ill of Antia. However, Issei used some sacred gear that he had used to make Kiba to make her hallucinate her mother's demise over and over again. She became so detached from reality due to recalling her mother's demise over and over again, resulting in her emotions becoming robot-like. Issei was expecting her to turn insane, but it seemed like that did not work. And honestly, he wanted to do this to the others, especially Rias, Kuroka, Akia, and Yakuza. But he saw that nothing would change. He could show them his superiority and show them how much worthless they are, but he wondered whether they would even learn. Realizing that they never loved or cared for him, he decided to change his mind instead. He had other plans on dealing with them. He knew each of their weaknesses and used it to his advantage. They had relationships, they had loved ones, and they all of them had one strength. They all depended on his brother. And once the truth is revealed, well, let's just say most of the girls will become Hus like Akeno. And instead of doing it himself, one by one, he can hit multiple birds with one single stone. Furthermore, girls of Dai, like Yakuza and Seraphal, had more than one weakness, and that being Yakuza's daughter Kono and Seraphal's sister Sona. If he went after them and they attacked them, then he could only imagine the dread on their faces would have. They would completely lose their will to fight, and they would become distressed and fall into despair. He can't wait to enjoy their suffering. Enjoy your love life while you can, Dai. Soon, you will come to everyone. Just you wait. And besides, to quote from a certain Joker, all it takes is one bad day to change a man's life. Issei spoke with a grin. Normally he would do it right away, but he waited for the right opportunity to expose him. The reason was that he waited for the factions to become desperate, and then when they become too desperate, the people of the factions will lose faith in their respective leaders. And when the time is right, people will expose it to them, then causing the morale to crumble to the point of no return. All it needs to do is push one domino and the rest will fall down automatically. However, he had another priority he needed to secure, and this would fall in line when the morale of the factions is at an all-time low. It was the rescue of the Nynx. He will achieve that no matter what happens. He remembered that she made him laugh and made him smile, which he never did when he was in the Hyoda residence or with the factions. All he needed to do was find the right combination of his abilities in the sacred gear, and when the time is when he will rescue Nynx, he promised her and he will achieve it. Issei looked at his targets. It was time to hurt his rival permanently, and he knew exactly who to go after. He had a sinister grin. Well, after this, there's no turning back, Issei spoke in a cold tone. As he watched the skies, he would soon begin his assault on his new target, Lavani Renani. And that is the end of Chapter 1, The Unbearable Truth. Chapter 2, The Fall of an Ice Mage. Previously, we saw Issei disappear from everyone's sight for 2 days while the factions were looking for him. So this is just kind of a little bit of a summary. blah blah this. You get the whole point. Issei decided to change his illusion, using illusion magic and a sacred gear that can transform into Malik, leaving no trace of his former self, as well as his aura. One of the primary reasons he did this is due to the fact that Lavinia Rennie was a master magician. It would take her no less than a minute or two to figure out their opponent is none other than the Red Dragon Emperor. He did not want to take such a risk in such a situation. This was well known that Issei Hyodo was the Red Dragon Emperor, and Lavinia was, if she manages to find out that Issei attacked her, everything he had done will go down for nothing. A red blade was the sacred gear he used that he can easily cut through any magic without any problem. Buddy, are you sure you want to take down Lavinia Rennie? Drake asked in worry for his friend as he spoke. Don't worry, this will hurt Volley the most. I am definitely going to leave a scar on her permanently, Issei spoke coldly. Spite was indicated in his voice. But that's not the only reason you want to eliminate her, right? Drake asked her the question, with Issei responded. So you figured it out, huh? Well, it's simple. Lavinia Rennie is one of the few that can use investigation magic, the magic that can be a problem to my plans, and she is the few magicians that is considered a prodigy, on par with Augusta, who was the predecessor of the Walbura, the former wielder of the Incinerant Anthem, which, if I am correct, is imprisoned in the underworld. As for the sacred gear, it is the Gargar. She can use the investigation magic to track Malik down when he attacks again, and I cannot risk the factions finding out who Malik is. At least not yet, Issei spoke in deep thought. Drake was surprised by this. Issei thought this through. It was like hitting two birds with one stone. He knew Issei was cunning, but he never expected him to be this smart. However, he still had a few worries, which he voiced. So, how will you manage without using the boosted gear? Drake asked as Issei spoke. Don't worry, I'll be fine, I promise you that, Issei spoke. As he looked at Lavinia, if he was correct in his investigation, she was heading towards Kyoto, where her friends lives. Right on the mark, we will begin our attack soon. Issei spoke as he attached a voice with a modulator that allowed him to mimic the voice of Malik. This would allow Lavinia to be able to be undetected. Unable to detect. Issei jumped into the fray. As Lavinia was heading towards the Hajime residence to meet her friend Suzaku Hajime. Such a shame, someone like you will fall tonight, Issei spoke in metal with a raspy voice, which was how Malik spoke to anyone he met. Meanwhile, Lavinia was walking down to Suzaku's house. She wore a white sleeveless shirt, which had frills at the center, and a red tight pants, as he also left her hair open in the headband. She wore a red matching heels as she was walking towards the house. Lavinia was walking towards the house when all of a sudden the dimension changed around her. She was surprised by this. Wondering who was responsible for this, she noticed the dimension change was similar to that of a Longinus dimension loss, but with a change that she seemed to still be in Kyoto, as she could see the people walking around her, but they were ignoring her, or were walking above or below her. She seemed to be in some sort of parallel reality. She would not even have realized the dimension changed around her had she not noticed the weird abnormalities around her. She looked around and then saw him, the bald man with a metal plating on his face. She immediately recognized him and narrowed her eyes. A neutral expression grew on her face. I presume you must be Malik, right? Lavinia asked in a cold tone, as Issei laughed in response. It seemed that his disguise worked perfectly. Good afternoon, Miss Rennie. Well, let's just say today I had decided to eliminate you, since you are quite a problem to me and my plans, Issei spoke with a grim sly. Courteous, I was not expecting you to be like that, considering you massacred many innocent lives, Lavinia spoke with a venom laced in her voice. Oh, don't be like that. Besides, they were too easy to kill. And the best part is, the leaders getting their pride crushed. You should have seen their faces, Issei spoke with a haughty tone. He remembered how Malik told him their faces were despair-written and furious. Some were even fearful. Lavinia was getting angry at Malik's words. She was definitely going to make him pay for his actions. She was radiating with mana as she spoke. You bastard! Didn't you have any empathy for the wives and children or any other family members? Lavinia shouted in rage as Issei chuckled. That's not my problem. They were fools to defend their factions, Issei spoke while narrowing his eyes. Blind loyalty can be a problem. You must understand when it is right or when it is wrong. You really are a monster, Luna growled in rage. I am not even close for me to being a monster, Issei spoke with a smile as he continued. The only way to escape is by defeating me, or I defeating you. But we all know what will happen, Issei spoke with a mocking tone. Don't underestimate me. I won't fall without a fight, and if possible I will take you to the leaders, Lavinia declared. As ice started to form as she was surrounding, she tried to intimidate Malik, who only chuckled. We will see about that, Lady Vinarini. Issei responded in a mocking tone, ready to fight against the strongest ice princess. Now opening start. Issei is walking across the fields. Malik is surrounded by burning remains of the Gagar. This is like a flashback. Issei and Nynx are seen side by side, or like in the future or whatever screen. A book shows up as Issei comes in his strongest Red Dragon Emperor armor. Daihyoto is seen with a sinister smirk, with Ria standing next to him. Ozzy and the other girls were fighting against Malik. Using magic, Akia looks above. Walking through a puddle, the ORC Student Council Volley Team and Team Slashdog are shown. All as a pair of angry eyes glare at them. Issei looks at the book, remembering his past well. He envisions the factions falling apart. Imigold looks at the figurine of Dai as she crushes it, tears falling from her eyes and anger on her face. A white-haired female angel and a silver-haired woman watch their factions with disdain. Imigold closed her eyes and looks at Dai with a determined look. Issei is on his knees. His past is haunting him, as a family photo shows up with a slash on it. Issei is separated from his family. He looks at his brother in the eyes as they both clash their swords. Opening end. Now we're back to the main part. Lavinia knew that the man in front of her was not to be taken lightly, not because she knew of her prowess but would not be enough, but she remembered how Malik humiliated Zeus and dared the king of Olympus to do something about it. She looked at her arms, not knowing whether she would survive this fight, let alone win, but that did not mean that she was going down without a fight. Absolute demise, Lavinia muttered. Moments later, 3 meters ice doll had formed right behind Lavinia. As she looked at Malik dead in the eye, she tried to scan his movements, wondering what move he will put on next. You think that a huge ice block will intimidate me? Issei spoke with an arrogant tone, as Lavinia looked at Issei with anger in her eyes. But she reeled in on it. It won't do her any good. In response, she spoke. Then come and fight me. If you think that it's just a huge ice block, Malik, Lavinia shouted in response. Issei responded. As you wish, Ice Princess. Issei rushed with his ignited red blade, as Lavinia mothered. Fool! Lavinia instantly froze Malik inside of her ice prison. Malik seemed to be frozen in time as she spoke. You will be questioned for what you have done, Malik, and your fate will be decided by the factions, Lavinia spoke coldly while approaching Malik. However, unbeknownst to Lavinia, Issei was waiting for her to approach him closely. It was internally smirked as he thought. All according to the Kigakayu, Issei thought as he witnessed Lavinia coming close to him. Once she was close enough, she raised her hand to bring her eyes to bring the frozen block in a dimension where she could. However, Issei waited where his hands could reach Lavinia. She saw Malik being transported to a separate dimension. Once that was done, he broke the ice and grabbed Lavinia by the throat. Did you really think a mere ice block would stop me? Issei taunted Lavinia, who was struggling to breathe. She muttered, Ow! I don't think I need to tell you my abilities. And besides, a magician doesn't reveal his tricks. Does he? Issei spoke in a mocking tone. As he flung Lavinia to a distance, the Ice Mage managed to recover. Seeing that her plan of subduing Malik failed to work, Lavinia managed to recover as she unleashed a storm of elemental spells. Several magicals circled and were brought out, with Issei recognizing them to be of fire, electric, ice, dark, and light magic. She then shouted, Take this! Lavinia released the magic as flames, lightning strikes, ice spears, squalls, arrow of the light, and finally balls of darkness were flung towards Issei before they could even hit him. Issei raised his hand, stopping every last one of them. Impossible! How can you stop all these spells? Lavinia shouted. Basically picture Gojo's infinite void that he has around him and everything is just stopped right there. Disbelief and anger as she looked at Malik as he responded. Like I said before, a magician never reveals his secrets. Issei used telekinesis to redirect the spells at Lavinia, who had a great difficulty blocking the attack, even with several barriers to protect herself. Once the dust settled, Lavinia was breathing heavily. She had several wounds on her body due to what happened, with some of the spells striking her back. Damn it, he blocked all my attacks with one spell. I need Be careful, Lavinia thought, with worry and fear. Not to mention my mana was close to running out due to that attack. I seem to have only one choice, Lavinia thought, while looking at the doll, who awaited her wielder's instructions. She had no choice. The ground beneath her froze, with Issei taunting her while maintaining his balance on the new icy ground. What's the matter? Ran out of spells, Ice Princess? Issei taunted her mockingly as Lavinia glared at him and then retorted. I'm not done yet! Balance break! Aslu Argento Modo! Mondo, Lavinia chanted. Before anyone could react, the whole dimension changed, which creates a furious blizzard across the entire battlefield and encircle giant sharp ice pillars, able to return the dimension into the world at full strength. Shit, I never thought she would use his balance breaker. I need to eliminate her quickly before revealing myself by using one of my powers, Issei thought with worry. When he noticed Lavinia was missing, now he was worried. He couldn't reveal more of his powers. He could create a sacred gear that could burn the ice around him, or simply use Drake's flames to burn everything around him, but that would expose his identity. However, before Issei could react with ice was standing on it, suddenly he started to rise. What the? Issei exclaimed in surprise, as 2 additional ice blocks toward him in an attempt to crush him. Issei responded by blocking the ice pillars with his telekinesis. Issei crushed the pillars, as a voice boomed across the dimension. What's the matter, Malik? Did you get ice across your feet? The voice of Lavinia. As she was mocking Malik, Issei was not happy with this. He was simply annoyed. Once inside her ice world, Lavinia is basically considered a sort of Piesto goddess. He needed to find her to eliminate this world. You will never locate me, Lavinia mocked Malik. As he looked around, Issei responded to her. Don't you worry, you are somewhere on this world controlling the ice. Issei analyzed her sacred gear. In order for him to identify its weakness, he knew that Lavinia is hidden somewhere trying to recover her mana. While her sacred gear was controlling the ice, he knew exactly what to do. Issei took a deep breath. As some were ice pillars and ice spikes charging him, he closed his eyes and generated a telekinetic barrier, protecting himself. Meanwhile, he concentrated his telekinetic power inside his body as he continued to focus for a while at a single point. As this was going on, the ice was constantly being bombarded on the barrier as Levi shouted, Get out of that prison, Malik, and face me! Malik only had a smile in response. He was done gathering the telekinetic energy needed. It was exhausting, but he had no choice. He had to do this. If he needed to end this fight quickly, he needed to do this. Cole, Issei spoke in a neutral tone. As he opened his eyes, he had a small ball that looked like a drop-sized star. In front of him, it was glowing with white light. As he looked at the ball and absorbed it into his body, Issei started to levitate in the air, as he spoke only in low tone. Repulse. Issei started to levitate in the air as he only spoke in a low tone once again. Issei suddenly curled himself into a ball and exploded. A stream of telekinetic energy was sent towards the entire dimension, destroying and disintegrating every single ice that was found. Issei then jumped on the ground, which was now made of regular concrete. Basically imagine Galen Merrick or Starkiller who repulsed and killed every single one of those stormtroopers. It was absolutely stickability. Anyway, the ice was completely destroyed, leaving the crippled doll, which was in the absolute demise. Lavinia looked at horror. She tried to make her doll regenerate her ice. However, Issei exclaimed in response. I won't let you, Issei rushed to Lavinia, and before she could react, Issei stabbed her in the chest with his red blade, as she had a look of horror. No, that was Lavinia's last words before the dimension returned to one that Issei had created. She fell on her knees. Looking up, she saw Malik's eyes. She looked in those yellow eyes. They were completely soulless. Or that's what Lavinia saw. She feared those eyes. It was like staring at death itself. Where's all the bravado you once had? Seems like the Ice Princess has fallen, Issei taunted in a mocking tone. However, instead of being angry, Lavanatha was scared. She was helpless. Her wound was too big. And she was out of mana. She could only be helpless in the eyes of her enemy. Her death seemed so inevitable at this point. I'm sorry, guys. I don't think I'll be able to come back from this one, Lavinia thought with sadness, and a slight tear fell from her face. Issei only looked at her with complete empathy and coldness, and thought, You are right. You will not live through this. Issei removed his hand and started sucking out the life energy from her body. Another application of his telekinesis was able he could suck the life energy from the target's body. Her magic was already gone. She couldn't do anything about what was happening. Issei walked away as he spoke in a low tone. I hope this news finds you well, Valerie. Issei got out of here and restored the dimensions back to normal. As left, another person had come back to check on Lavinia. The scene changed. Kyoto a few minutes earlier. Shizaku Habajina was a close friend of Lavinia's, and she was worried that it's been a long time since she had not shown up. She called the others, wondering where they were, but neither of them knew. That those knew that told her that she was coming to her place. She was described to look similar to her cousin Akano, a beautiful young Byamushin woman who has long, flowing black hair and red eyes. She wore a red school uniform belonging to the school in Kyoto. Suzaku crossed the streets and she noticed a barrier earlier, which regular people failed to notice. She rushed, worrying something was wrong, while making sure that no one was watching her. When she got into the location, she kept her hands in her mouth in horror. She saw her friend unconscious with an injury aimed at her chest. Lavinia! A heartbreaking scream was heard, and this was from Suzaku. She was crying endlessly. While she was trying to wake her friend up, she was trying to find anything that could help her, but she failed to do so. Scene change. Issei watched the scene with his drones. He looked at Suzaku, calling for others for help in their situation. I seem to have underestimated her usage of her sacred gear. This was an unknown variable. Never thought that she could hide herself. Issei spoke with a cold tone, but at the same time, he had a bit of anger. His underestimation of her could have potentially exposed him. Issei walked away and he recalled his drones. He teleported back to his room to avoid suspicion. Scene change. A few days later, Kyoto residence, 11:30 a.m. A few days later, the factions got the news of Lavinia's condition, and they were in a critical state. If anything, many dreaded what Malik would do next, especially the Regar, as they started to initiate even more defenses. Lavinia was in a comatose state due to the magical exhaustion as well as her life force drain. The doctors estimated that she will only have few years before she passes away. They estimated that she only had 5 years at most. This is a huge blow to Team Slashdog, especially to Tobio and Shizaku, who cared for her like their very own. Suzaku blamed herself for not protecting her friend from Malik, but not even they could imagine who was affected the most. And that was Valerie Lucifer. She saw as Lavinia as an older sister and the mentor figure, as she shattered when she heard the news of Lavinia's condition and broke down. She couldn't handle that her sister would be gone in just 5 years. She was grief-stricken. However, the one person who was unaffected by the news, that of course was Issei Hyodo, who spoke. Damn it, I hate Grom, always hides away behind a wall and takes my brawler down. Issei got up and started walking outside the room. As he opened the door suddenly exploded due to a magic attack. What the? Issei looked at the direction from where the attack came from. Before he could continue speaking, someone started to attack him. Issei dodged as he saw his attacker to be Volley. What's your deal? Issei exclaimed with anger. However, Volley ignored him and she kept punching. As he kept going the attacks, Stop attacking me, Issei spoke with an annoyed tone. If you had given us some information about Malik, Lavinia wouldn't have been able in this condition, Valerie shouted. Angrily, while tears fell from her face, Issei kept dodging the attack while responding. Like I said, not my monkeys, not my circus. You were on your own in this fight, Issei kept dodging as Volley shouted in response. You have a book that can recreate any sacred gear. You should use this power to save innocent lives, Valerie shouted in pure fury. With tears falling from her eyes, she did not stop punching, however. I have had enough, Issei grabbed both of Valerie's hands, shocking her as he flung her in the air, and then kept punching her with his Lightning Slayer gloves, with blow dealing massive damage to her stomach. Valerie coughed up saliva at every punch, and she was mid-air. Issei responded by giving her a roundhouse kick to the face, sending her flying across the residence, knocking her out cold. People change for 2 reasons, Issei looked across. Most, minus Goro and Miki, were ready for a fight. They had unpleasant expressions. However, most of them even had fear in their eyes. Issei then continued. One is by change of heart or mind. And the main trigger is that all of it needs to be done one bad experience to do so. Ivigold listened to every word Issei said. She remembered his words that he will one day burn everything she held dear, but that is the problem. She barely had anyone. Her parents died a long time ago. Her father was also killed by an old Satan faction, and ever since then, she lived in the Gagar. After that, she was kidnapped, and well, the rest is history. She hated herself. She wished she could go into the past to make her realize her biggest mistake. But that is not going to happen. And then there was Dai, who was her king. Physical and mental moral support, but it turned out that he was a fraud. She hated Dai more than she hated herself for fooling her. But at the same time, she lost the only person that ever loved her. Now he was no longer going to help her, even from the shadows. She wanted to go back in time, but at the same time, she made a mental vow. She was going to let Issei accept her one day, no matter what happens. Is it perhaps you want to stay with your arms crossed and let us all suffer while watching from the sidelines, Azazel spoke in a serious tone. When you can do so much good while helping us, Azazel could not complete, as Issei stabbed him in the chest before the fallen angel could react. When he looked down, he saw fury in Issei's eyes. Do you take me for a fucking weapon, Azazel, that you can use and discard whenever you feel like it? I am not some sort of weapon or a sacred gear that you can use and throw away whenever you want. I know of your dislike towards me, when you yourself fell because of your lust. Issei shouted, anger evident in his eyes. He removed the blade, as it was revealed to be the mortress blade. Azazel coughed up blood. A simple stab that should not be able to do this much damage. But Azazel tried to retort. However, Issei was not having any of it. I have been saying this time and time again. Hand over Nix to me, and I will gladly give you the information. But no, you believe that you are entitled to receive my help, just because I know about the supernatural. Furthermore, I am the Red Dragon Emperor, so you think that I should help you guys? But no, I won't help you, and until I expect something in return, Issei declared as he released Azazel, who clutched his wound while gritting his teeth. He glared at Issei and he wanted to throw a light spear, but he does not know what he will do to him. If he attacks him, he might meet the same fate as Valerie. Is it just that you don't want to help with the power of yours? Dai spoke in a cold tone towards his brother, and Miguel glared at Dai for saying that, who smirked in response. Indeed, I don't desire to do so, Issei started to head out, as Miki and Goro opened their mouths. We did not raise a monster. You should help others, Issei. That's the son we raised. Issei started laughing, shocking and angrily both of his parents. He calmed down for a while. Yes, I am a monster. You know what monsters do? They do this. Issei dashed towards Azazel and Valerie, each of his hands grabbing them by their necks as he started to choke them. Azazel struggled to free himself from Issei's grip. He tried to bring out a light spear, but Issei increased the force of his hand, trying to make himself release the grip. This is what a monster will do. I will kill these two right here and right now, Issei's words made them horrified of what we will do next as Aki and Rhea shouted, Let them go, brother! Issei Hyodo. You better let go or else I will call my big brother. Issei turned his attention to them and activated a sacred gear that can disrupt all communications. He called it Short Circuit. No, go ahead. I dare you to do something about this. It won't take me a minute to kill these two right away. Issei taunted in a mocking tone as Rhea tried to communicate to her brother but was horrified that she couldn't reach him. As Issei spoke, the person you are trying to reach is currently busy. Issei spoke with a mocking tone. Aw, it seems like your older brother doesn't have time for you, Ritan. Issei spoke with a fake sadness. Rhea looked at him in fear. She was shivering almost at the verge of passing out due to fear. She was helpless. Issei can kill them and leave no trace of them. Same went for Rias' Parage. They were all afraid. Issei can take him down, and her brother won't even realize it until it's too late. Akia, you were saying you were going to release them, but can't you do anything to stop me? Can you? Issei spoke with a taunt. After all, you are nothing but all bark, but no bite. Such a shame. Akia gritted her teeth with fury, while Dai was equally angry, however, was fearful on what Issei would do next. Attack me again, and I'll join Malik myself. Issei's words made many horrified as he continued. I can destroy Malik like an ant, if I wanted to, and I am your last and only hope in defeating him. I will ask him to join, and I will start destroying the factions myself alongside him. Just think of your only last hope turning onto your worst enemy. Just imagine what can happen, Issei declared with an evil and sinister grin. Issei's words made many fear him once more. Some weaker-willed, including his parents, passed out due to fear. He then dropped Azazel and Valerie as Azazel tried to catch his breath. He then left the room as he was not interested in dealing with them anymore. Issei walked away, far from them. Many tried to help Valerie. They were happy that she was breathing, with Azazel speaking in a serious tone. After catching his breath, we need to tell your brother that Issei won't hesitate to become our enemy if we attack him. But first, we need to get Volley to somewhere safe. She needs treatment. Many nodded as they started to get work, and Aki and Dai helped their parents, with Dai vowing that one day to take his power and torture him for all eternity. Rooftop, Hyodo residence, 2 a.m. Issei was sipping a bottle of Diet Coke as he looked down in anger. As he enjoyed their fears in his heart, he was thinking of his next plan of attack. Even though Malik was strong enough to take on a single faction, multiple factions attacking together could overwhelm him. Plus, Issei knew that now the security would be tightened due to the attack on Lavinia, it would be harder for him to attack the factions. Issei decided to change tactics. He needed more information on the security systems of each of the factions. Then there was Greek and Hindu factions, two of the biggest threats that he will have to deal with. He barely had any information on the Hindu faction, only their names. He needed to collect information on the Hindu faction. Although not as strong as Great Red or Orpheus, Issei knew that Shiva, Bashima, and Vishnu were forces to be reckoned with. Their strength surpassed Zex from a long mile, and there is several other gods like Indra who is as strong as Sir Zex. As for the Greek faction, he needed to deal with Zeus and Poseidon, although they aren't as strong as Hades, who could beat them in a long mile. They were pretty still strong. He needed to underestimate them. And finally, we have the Norse faction, who had Thor, Odin, and Vidar, three of the people who could give him a run for his money. Those were the people so far that he found that he needed to be careful of, aside from Sir Zex, Ajuka, and several others. Hey Drake, Issei asked his best friend with the boosted gear, speaking up. You better give me a good reason you ruined my sleep. I was finally gonna get laid, Drake spoke, while comically crying as Issei's sweat dropped as his friend for a moment and then spoke. I was wondering that since our fight is tougher, how are we going to gather information, Issei asked. Well, you could infiltrate the factions, or you can do other job, or you can have the others do the job for you. Now let me go to sleep, Drake spoke, not caring for the factions anymore. He could hardly feel anything for them, given how much they looked down upon his best friend. Issei thought of a proposal. He then spoke in response. I see. So they will act as our eyes and ears, huh? Not bad. Thanks, Drake. Issei praised Drake, who only dozed off in response. Drake snored as Issei cited his best friend's attitude. He was thinking of who his next targets will be. Oh yes, I can go for those three, Issei thought with a malicious grin. Then he remembered he could be perfect infiltrators. They were fucking ring, ring, ring of an unknown voice came. Then he sensed his phone vibrate. He looked at the caller ID and started to sweat. Hi? Issei spoke, slightly nervous as a woman's voice came from the speaker. Issei, where have you been? You haven't contacted me and my husband since a long time, the woman exclaimed in frightened sadness. I am sorry, I just had a lot of work to do, Issei spoke, trying to explain himself to the woman, and the woman spoke. Well, I am happy that you finally just take some time off from your busy schedule, the woman spoke with slight happiness tone. I know, I'm really sorry, Issei spoke with slight sadness. It almost felt like Issei cared for this person. Either way, when are you coming to visit us? The woman asked. As Issei responded, I can come right away if you want me to, Issei spoke with a beating smile. That's good. I would definitely prepare you a feast, young man, the woman beamed with happiness. Issei responded, I'm looking forward to that. The woman then asked, so for how long will you stay? The woman asked. A week, and besides my family doesn't care if I'm away for a year, Issei spoke. The woman responded with an tour. But we do. Both me and my husband do, so you can come here whenever you can stay, Kay? I will, Issei spoke with a genuine smile that hasn't been seen for a long time. Well, see you at your place, Presperone. Bye, Issei, Presperone greeted cheerfully as she disconnected the call. Issei felt at ease. He headed back to the pack. Drake then spoke in a cheerful tone. Feels nice to hear from her, partner. Yeah, well, let's not keep her waiting. Let's go prepare ourselves. I guess it's nice of you to have that smile of yours, Drake spoke in a cheerful as he deactivated the gear as he headed to the room and packed his stuff. He was about to head out when... Where are you going? A voice spoke with a hint of fear that came outside his door. Issei turned to who it was and narrowed his eyes. It was Azia that called him. Where I go is none of your concern. You can leave if you want to, Issei spoke with spite. He was annoyed that she ruined such a good mood of his. Issei, wait, your mom? Azia could not complete as Issei had already left the realm of the undead. Azia was left flabbergasted. She could only tell everyone that Issei has left. She knew that Issei will not be back for a while. Nobody knew where he was going, nobody but Issei and Drake. Issei watched as he was being teleported to the realm of the dead. As he looked across, he was happy to visit Per's realm and Hades once again. Issei was excited to see them again. I can't wait to see what they have in store for me, Issei says, and that is the end of Chapter 2, The Fall of the Ice Mage. And that is where we're going to stop for now. This man Issei is this is Issei the God Killer, just basically in a different type of light. This story is something I'm just going to continue reading. I don't know. This is entertaining due to him actually taking revenge on everybody he said he was going to. I think that's pretty awesome. That sounds terrible, but you get what I'm trying to say. I mean, I think that's pretty cool. I don't know, man. Revenge like that's out of pocket. I'm not even going to lie to you. But yeah, once again, thank you to all my Juggernaut Drive members. Like seriously, obviously, bro, that's W right there. And thanks to my Balance Breaker members. Thank you to my Patreon members. And Papowski's at 65,000 subs. Spartanic's about to hit 42K already. We're on the 50K push. We're going crazy. We're coming hard. And we're doing... Let me know if you guys want to see a High School DxD waifu tier list. But it's like actually fully edited and has like a bunch of like things instead of like that. And I'll actually post it as like a legitimate video instead of just like on a live stream or something like that. So thank you so much for the support, ladies and gentlemen. What If Goku Was in High School DxD will definitely be a series that is coming out soon. Without any further ado, Spartanic Arts DxD out.